From our Washington, D.C. studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. Our top story for today. Missouri has executed Imam Marcellus Khalifa Williams, despite an ongoing legal battle, and calls for clemency from those who initially prosecuted him. Williams, convicted of a 1998 murder, maintained his innocence until the very end. In his final moments, Imam Williams remained steadfast in his faith, saying, quote, "All praise be to Allah in every situation." Williams, 55, was put to death by lethal injection Tuesday night, marking the end of a decades-long legal fight. Even the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office, responsible for his conviction, had tried to overturn it, citing concerns over his guilt. Williams was sentenced for the murder of social worker Leisha Gale, but no forensic evidence ever tied him to the crime. His family, civil rights groups, and some jurors expressed outrage over the execution, calling it a miscarriage of justice. His attorney, Tricia Rojo Bushnell, said that the state's actions highlight what she called Missouri's focus on finality over truth, justice, and humanity. Meanwhile, the Council on American Islamic Relations condemned the Supreme Court, Missouri's court system, and Governor Michael Parson for failing to halt the execution. Several imams and Muslim influencers also condemned the execution on their social media. Israel and the U.S. are under fire from world leaders after a contentious UN General Assembly session this week, where both nations faced sharp criticism over the ongoing war in Gaza. This marks the first major UN gathering since Israel's military campaign on Gaza began nearly a year ago. Leaders from around the globe denounced Israel's actions, which escalated after the October 7th attacks. Many argued that Israel's response has far exceeded self-defense. Brazilian President Lula da Silva was among the most vocal, condemning what he called the collective punishment of Palestinians, warning that the situation has turned into a full-blown humanitarian catastrophe. The criticism was not limited to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. World leaders also took aim at the U.S., accusing it of complicity in Israel's ongoing war. Amidst the growing violence along the Israel-Lebanon border, leaders are calling for an urgent end to the conflict as concerns over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza extends. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan made waves at the United Nations General Assembly, drawing a comparison between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Adolf Hitler, while calling for urgent global action. Erdogan took aim at Israel, accusing it of running what he calls a murder network in Gaza. In a fiery address, the Turkish leader slammed the UN for what he described as its ineffectiveness, demanding that the UN Security Council take action against Israel. He highlighted the devastating impact of the ongoing war, which has reportedly killed over 41,000 Palestinians, with some estimates suggesting the toll could be as high as 186,000. Erdogan also criticized U.S. military support for Israel, urging the international community to intervene and prevent a, quote, genocide in Gaza. The Turkish president went further, insisting on global recognition of the state of Palestine and accusing nations backing Israel of being complicit in the ongoing genocide.
Değil mi? Ey Birleşmiş Milletler Güvenlik Konseyi, Gazze soykırımının önüne geçmek, bu zulme, bu barbarlığa dur demek için daha neyi bekliyorsunuz? Filistin halkıyla birlikte kendi vatandaşlarının canını tehlikeye atan siyasi ikbali için tüm bölgeyi savaşa sürükleyen katliam şebekesini durdurmak için daha neyi bekliyorsunuz?
In Gaza, Israeli forces are facing renewed accusations of genocide as their military campaign continues. In the past 24 hours alone, dozens of Palestinians have been killed in attacks described by local officials as massacres. According to Gaza's health ministry, 28 Palestinians were killed and 85 others injured, with many victims still trapped beneath rubble as rescue efforts are hampered. The Israeli offense has displaced nearly the entire population of the besieged territory, where a blockade has led to several severe shortages of food, clean water, and medicine. Gaza's government media office reports that Israel has returned 88 bodies without identifying them and without oversight from any international or local authorities. Since the war on Gaza began, Israel has killed at least 41,495 Palestinians and injured 96,006 others. According to The Lancet, a British medical journal, as many as 186,000 Palestinians may have died in the war since last October. Israel is now facing accusations of genocide at the International Court of Justice over its ongoing military campaign in Gaza. In Lebanon, airstrikes by Israel have left at least 22 more dead, increasing the death toll to 569, with dozens more injured in a rapidly escalating conflict. This comes as tensions between Israel and Hezbollah continue to intensify. According to Lebanon's health ministry, airstrikes in Baalbek Harmel province claimed 4 lives and left 30 others injured. In the southern towns of Tabnin and Bent Jebel, 5 people were killed and 27 others wounded. Meanwhile, Hezbollah claimed responsibility for launching a missile targeting the Mossad headquarters near Tel Aviv, although it was intercepted mid-air by Israeli military. The Israelis report that 40 rockets were fired from Lebanon into northern Israel, setting off an air raid siren system in multiple cities. The humanitarian crisis in Lebanon is worsening, with over 500,000 people now displaced and 569 casualties reported since Monday, including 50 children. Among those killed was Al-Manar TV's cameraman Kamal Karaki, who died in an Israeli air raid on the town of Pandor. He is the 5th journalist killed in Lebanon since the conflict flared on October the 7th. Another journalist, Hadi As-Sayed, was killed just days earlier. Foreign ministers from Egypt, Iraq, and Jordan are condemning the ongoing violence, warning that the region is teetering on the brink of all-out war. Israeli public broadcaster Kan reports that the Israeli army is preparing for a potential ground invasion in Lebanon, with Defense Minister Yoav Gallant overseeing soldiers in training for such a scenario. CNN falsely accuses Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we will be right back. Welcome back. CNN is facing growing calls for an apology after the network and its anchors were accused of falsely attributing an anti-Semitic remark to Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. The controversy erupted after an interview in which Tlaib criticized Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel for prosecuting students protesting Israel's war on Gaza. Detroit Metro Times reporter Steve Nievling has since confirmed that Tlaib never linked Nessel's Jewish identity to her decisions in the case, refuting the claims made during the segment. Critics argue that CNN anchors Jake Tapper and Dana Bash played a role in spreading this false narrative. Advocacy groups, including Dawood Walid's executive director of Michigan's Council on Islamic American Relations, have demanded a retraction, urging CNN to correct the record to preserve its journalistic integrity. Tapper later admitted he misspoke, and Bash clarified that Tlaib never mentioned Nessel's religion. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer emphasized the importance of allowing safe dissent on campuses while cautioning against politicizing anti-Semitism. At least 27,000 people have been displaced from southern Lebanon and the Bekaa region due to Israel's military attacks. Lebanon's Environment Minister Nasser Yassin says these people have fled to open shelters across the country. He adds that approximately 252 public schools across the country have been converted into shelters for displaced residents. A Palestinian student in Sweden is being denied citizenship due to her pro-Palestinian activism at Chalmers University of Technology. Following the start of Israel's war on Gaza, Isra Barham helped launch a campaign to support Palestinian rights. This included protests and a petition with nearly 150 signatures urging the university to cut ties with Israeli firms. Despite the peaceful nature of her activism, the university reported her to the police after a demonstration. 4 months later, the Swedish Migration Agency rejected her citizenship application, citing suspected violations of public order based on unsubstantiated police reports. Barham criticized recent changes in Swedish law that allow police reports to impact immigration status, saying it targets activists unfairly. Committed to her cause, she says she plans to continue her advocacy and complete her thesis on Palestine, asserting the importance of raising awareness and fighting for justice. A national immigrants' rights group has taken legal action against Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance, accusing them of inciting fear and harm against the Haitian community in Ohio. The Haitian Bridge Alliance has filed criminal charges claiming Trump and Vance's false statements about the Haitian community have caused significant damage to Springfield, Ohio. Guerlain Joseph, the group's director, is seeking their arrest under Ohio law, arguing that their rhetoric has disrupted public services and incited fear in the local community. This comes after more than 30 bomb threats were made against institutions in the area, which critics linked to derogatory remarks made by the two politicians. Trump and Vance have been accused of promoting a debunked conspiracy theory, alleging Haitian immigrants were harming pets, claims that have heightened tensions and anxiety in the community. Lead counsel Subodh Chandra compared their actions to shouting fire in a crowded theater, stressing the need for accountability. A new report reveals a concerning rise in criminal charges related to pregnancy in the U.S. Following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn the federal abortion law, Roe v. Wade, in June 2022, at least 210 people were charged with pregnancy-related crimes in just 1 year. That is the highest number ever recorded, according to the group Pregnancy Justice, which published the report. These charges include accusations like child endangerment and substance abuse, often without any evidence of harm to the fetus. Alabama, Oklahoma, and South Carolina have the highest rates of such prosecutions, driven by strict laws regarding fetal rights. pregnancy justice argues that these charges focus more on controlling the pregnant woman rather than protecting unborn children. They advocate for separating health care from the criminal justice system to allow people to access necessary medical care without fear. The group warns that this trend could worsen health issues, especially related to drug use during pregnancy. In one case, police charged the woman with abusing her unborn child just after they administered Narcan to save her from a drug overdose. The report was released a day after KFF Health News reported on the story of Amari Marsh. The South Carolina woman was charged in May 2023 with murder, homicide by child abuse, 2 months after she went into preterm labor and gave birth in her bathroom. Marsh spent 22 days in prison and faced a potential sentence of 20 years to life. However, her charges were ultimately dismissed by a grand jury. In related news, at a recent rally in Pennsylvania, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump ignited controversy by suggesting that critics of federal judges, including Supreme Court justices, could face jail time. Trump praised the justices for what he calls their bravery in overturning Roe v. Wade, claiming it should be illegal for individuals to question judges' decisions. Roe v. Wade was a 1973 landmark Supreme Court decision that ruled that the Constitution of the United States generally protected the right to have an abortion. Trump's remarks have drawn sharp backlash from various political figures. Demand Justice Managing Director Maggie Jo Buchanan highlighted the implications of Trump's comments, linking them from his previous statements about women and abortion rights. She said in 2016, Trump said women should be punished if they have an abortion. Buchanan adds that now he is saying women should be jailed for speaking out when their rights have been taken away. Congressman Ted Lieu slammed Trump's attack on free speech, while journalist David Simon criticized Trump as a fascist lacking understanding of the First Amendment. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign emphasized that women are facing severe health risks under Trump's policies. American Muslim human rights organization Justice for All has congratulated Dr. Naledi Pandor, former South African minister, on her new role as chairperson of the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Dr. Pandor would officially assume the position on October 1, 2024, following the retirement of Professor Njabulo Ndebele. She becomes the third chairperson since the foundation's founding in 1999. Just weeks ago, on September 14, 2024, Justice for All honored Dr. Pandor with the prestigious Justice for All Award during a ceremony in Chicago. Nearly 700 attendees were inspired by her powerful acceptance speech, where she emphasized the importance of preparing for struggles, particularly reaffirming her support for Palestinian liberation. Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid, president of Justice for All, praised Dr. Pandor's extensive advocacy for marginalized communities and expressed confidence in her ability to provide transformative leadership. Justice for All noted that Dr. Pandor's legacy as a former Minister of International Relations and Cooperation aligns perfectly with the Foundation's mission to promote social justice and equality. That's all from our Washington, D.C. studios. Thank you for watching. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you thought of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum and goodbye.